Hello, my name is Charles Martinez. Today's date is November 13th. It is approximately 4:51 p.m. And this is going to be my CERT '08 attempt A. And in attempt A, I will be working with making it better and controlling a servo. So, in this script here, or this coding here, I'm going to go over it real quick with you. And or actually, let me go over the Arduino kit itself real quick, just so I can show you the components that I added, and that way we can kind of go over them in the coding here in a minute, so you'll kind of understand what's going on here. So we do have the servo hooked up right here, and we do have the wires connected in. They are on a 3-pin, so I connected some pins to them, and then they're like double-sided pins, and connected them. And I used the positive and negative from attempt B, which is from the potentiometer, the same positive and negative. So I hooked it into those grounds to get the positive and negative current from versus having to connect more pins from the positive and the negative. I just jumped right into it from the potentiometer. And on this potentiometer on this side, it only has the positive and negative. On this side here, the actual input or output would be over here on this other side. And so for the servo motor, the white wire here going into the 3 pins here is going to be the middle one. And as you can see in the middle slots there, if I hover more over it, you can see better maybe. The middle slot has that wire, that green wire going into it. You can see it right into that middle slot there. The negative is in the green wire going to the negative here, and then the positive is getting its positive from the positive slot there. And so is as well, like I said, the potentiometer is getting the same positive and negative, but their input outputs are on different whole different rows that are not connected. So we do have the servo motor connected right there with that green pin in between right there on I believe that's column D, row 6, I believe. We have that green wire going over here, and that green wire is going to be going into our pin 9 over here. And so we have our servo motor connected to pin 9. The potentiometer is connected to, I believe that's going to be slot 2 over here. Analog 2, analog pin 2. And let's see here, analog pin 2. And we also do have the potentiometer hooked up to analog pin 0 as well. So it's going to be providing input to the Arduino kit. So as you're controlling it, it's going to be giving 2 spots. It's going to be giving information as far as which position it's on and whatnot. And that is mainly so that I can control the servo motor with, I believe it's going to be pin 2. And then I have analog pin 0 to control the LEDs and the buzzer here. And the LEDs, I have a green and a red LED. So when the potentiometer reaches its max, which I believe is 1023, its max value, you'll have the green light come on. When it reaches 0 value, it will have the red light come on. And as the lights or the LEDs display come on, when that value 0's hit, you'll have a tone. When the value 1023 hits, you'll have a different tone play out from the buzzer itself. And the buzzer is connected into the negative right here, and you can see the negative is going to the 25, going into our negative slot there. And we do have its input going or output going from over here to pin, I believe that's pin 6. And so that's the object, is to, when we twist the potentiometer to the max, when it hits its max range of 1023, the green light will display with a sound. And then when we twist it and go back to the 0 position, or the 0 value, the red LED will come on, and it will be a different tone that plays. As well, the servo motor itself will be moving as well. So let's go back over here into the coding and we'll go over that real quick. And we have our include servo H, which just pretty much tells us information, the library information for our servo motor. And we have servo my servo there, and that's pretty much to give it the information on how to control the servo from the and this one we went into the file, and I believe it was examples and servo and to the knob, and that's what gave us the original coding. We did change some stuff here. We have the int pot pin, which is the potentiometer pin to 2. So that's letting it know you're going to get an analog pin used to connect to potentiometer for pin 2. And then we have an int value, and this is a variable to read the value from the analog pin. And we have int LED pin 12, which will be declared to pin 12. And that one's going to be for our red LED. And then we have int LED pin 13. So that one's going to be equal to pin 13, and it's going to be declared to pin 13 for the green LED. Then we have integer sensor pin equals to 0, and then we have integer sensor value equals to 0, and these are just giving these variables values. Okay, in our next piece of the code, we have a constant integer buzzer equal to pin 6, declare buzzer to pin 6, and then we have our void setup. We do have our myservo.attach9, and this attaches the servo to pin 9 to the servo object. Declare pin LED pin as an output, and we're declaring LED pin 12 to output in pin mode, and pin mode LED pin 13 to output as well, letting you know it's going to be an output. As well, we have pin mode buzzer output, so letting us know that it will be sending output signal to the LEDs and to the buzzer, so that the buzzer can go off and the LEDs can turn on. Then we have our void loop, where we'll have our integer threshold 512 declared threshold value. So we did set a threshold value on this one, although we won't be using the threshold on this one. Well, we will, but I mean it's going to be set to a specific amount, not an actual threshold. And then we have the value analog read for our pot pin, our potential pin, and this is pretty much going to value equals map. It's going to pretty much read it and then map it out, and it's going to let it know where it's at between 0 to 1023. And then we have my servo write val, and it's going to pretty much write that to the value, and then we have a slight delay of I believe that's like a fraction of a second for the servo, so that it moves. And we did insert a nested loop to get our LEDs to turn on and our sound to play, and this is with a if loop that's nested in, and it's an analog read sensor pin, and if it equals to 1023, which is the max, digital write LED pin will go to high, pin 13, which is the green LED. It turns it on. Then we have the tone buzzer at I believe this is 1,000 kilohertz, 1,000 hertz sound signal, then a delay of a second, and then a no tone buzzer to stop the sound. If not else, it's gonna turn it to low. So pretty much 13 LED pin 13 low will turn the green LED off. So if it's not at the max 1023, then it's gonna turn off. Pretty much is what that last else statement is. And then we go to our next piece of code, and this one is pretty much the same thing in the for the pin 12, and this is for when it goes to 0. So if our analog read sensor pin equals to 0, our red LED pin, our pin 12 will go to high, which is our red LED on a digital write. And then we have the tone buzzer to 500, so it's going to send a 500 hertz signal with a 1 second delay, and then no tone buzzer to stop the sound. And if it's not at 0, this is where you'll get the else digital write LED pin 12 low. So if it's not at 0, the LED pin low is going to be low. So that means the red LED will be off if it's not all the way to value of 0. So our next piece of coding here, that's going to be it actually on the coding. So we'll go ahead and plug it in, and let's see here, and we'll upload the code, and we'll get this thing working, and we'll see how it works, see if it does what we want it to do. So upload, and we're gonna get our uploading status. We're good. Send and receive comes on. So at this point, when I turn it to the max, we'll see the green light come on and a sound being played, and our servo will move as well. There's the max, and then we can go move it as much as we want. But once we hit that 0 mark, once we get all the way to the 0, we get that different tone, and then the red light comes on. We get like a sound coming from the buzzer. So we'll go to max, and we get our max sound, and with our light LED on. And then we'll go to low and get our low sound with our low LED on, letting us know we're at the lowest level. And you know, if we turn it in between, we don't get no sounds or nothing. It's until we hit that max level that we can't turn no more, and we're at the max level that it turns on. And but else, if we're in a good spot, nothing should sound, nothing should be on, everything should be off. And then if I go to max, or I'm sorry, low, we're gonna go all the way low and then go to max, and there we are, we're on the max, can't turn it no more. And if we're in between, we're okay, we can move it as much as we want. It's until we get to the max right there, or until we get all the way to the low to 0 value, and then we go to green to 1023 value there. And this is my Circ 08 attempt A. Thank you for watching.